very happy to be here. Such a lovely day in New York City. I just arrived late night. And also very inspired to hear from what your companies are doing. I think we're not quite there yet, but I'm going to share with you very happily what we're doing with diversity. And I'm going to structure my presentation in three main topics, right? Like diversity and inclusion at CEMEX. The other one is like Semaks University, how DNI works with the global learning team. And the other one, it's a very specific learning experience that we built for our online managers. So I'm very happy to be here also with my good friends with Novoed, and then they made the invitation. I'm very happy to be here, and this is the platform that will help the learning experience in it. So about CEMEX, has anyone heard about this company? Oh yeah, okay, so we have a couple of them, right? So CEMEX, it's a global construction materials company. So we pretty much build sell cement, ready-mix aggregates. So we quarry rock, and a lot of people stand on our products, right? Like literally. So this is to give you an idea of who we are. So we're more than 42,000 employees globally. We were founded 120 years ago in Mexico, so we have been there for quite a while. And this is a little bit of how much we sell yearly. And this might be a little bit too technical, I mean the cement plants, but it's to give you an idea of how scattered we are all over the world, right? So a cement plant might have maybe a couple hundred employees, but ready-mix and concrete plants might have even 3 employees. So we have a plant in California that literally has 4 employees, right? And I was just in Houston a couple of weeks ago with the diversity and inclusion team, and it's really interesting because they said like, the face of CEMEX to me, it's my manager, right? I never see anyone from corporate, not even from global corporate. I never see people. So the face for CEMEX, it's my manager, right? So that was an interesting case. And also, so you see, we're pretty much all over the world, more than 50 countries. Our biggest markets are Mexico and US. Those are maybe like 60% of our revenue. But we also have presence in Philippines, in Dubai, and Egypt. So pretty much all over the world. And I want to tell you something that, of course, construction materials is not as quite for disruption like banking or even tech, right? So it's interesting how we're a little bit of laggards in really innovating and really getting there. But our current CEO has a very strong commitment to becoming digital. I think we're in the forefront of the industry to really being customer-centric, and customer obsession is all over the place. So this goes really well with learning. And whenever I see our CEO talking about innovation and construction really leading the way to digital, he always says about how important learning is. And we as a team, that's music to our ears, right? So I'm going to talk about diversity, and these numbers, I don't want to get you too distracted with them, but I want you to see how little women we have in our teams, right? And even when we get to top management, just 1 out of 10. And this is really interesting because, for example, in markets like Mexico, we have found, and we have a set of distribution stores, retail spaces that are maybe 4,000 stores, and half of the customers of those stores are women. So that's an insight that we have, like, okay, so we have a lot of male selling to women, and we don't have a lot of women in our commercial teams, right? So if you go down, executives, just 2 out of 10, and even in employees, it's just 3 out of 10, right? So we're very little diverse. Also on nationality type of thing, I think that really reflects our footprint. So you can see that we have a lot of top executives that are from Mexico because they started there and they have been going up the ranks. The average tenure of our executives is maybe like 20 years, 25 years in the company for top management. So we're a company that really stays and retains people, especially in Mexico, and also generations, right? That's a whole different thing for us. But these are the 3 things we're focusing right now. I know that there's a lot of DNI initiatives that really go beyond this, but we are very intentionally starting with these 3, right? So this is the why for our DNI strategy, right? So our main commitment is our workforce experience to really embrace it, and we justify it with this. Really, we want to enable a meaningful and fulfilling workplace. We really want to develop trust in our relationships, and remember that we're in an industry that might be a little bit tough. It's construction. There's a lot of engineers, and I don't want to sound biased. I know I'm sounding a little bit biased, but there's a lot of engineers, a lot of people, and one of our I saw in one of the presentations that you have the pursue excellence principle, and I really respect our values, but I think pursue excellence can be a little bit perfectionist, and sometimes that's our culture lack. And the other one, we really like to tie DNI, of course, bringing more people, bringing diverse backgrounds, bringing diverse, even diverse genders and diverse nationalities, really help us to foster innovation and to help us think different. This is a framework that we have built for this year. It's pretty new, it's still in progress. And what we have done globally, it's enabling our local operations, because we have presence in 5 regions, Mexico, US, South America, Caribbean, Asia, Middle East and Africa, and Europe, of course. What we have been doing is doing this very simple framework on how we talk about performance management, which is how do you keep track, right? And I was just in Houston a couple of weeks ago, as I was telling you, and our regional president was saying, like, okay, it's okay that you're here and you're activating a diversity and inclusion committee, but how are you going to make sure that these are not just one-hit wonders? And how are you going to make sure that you're measuring your progress and you're really helping your performance on DNI keep track, right? Policies and processes, there's a lot of things there, like work leaves. We have been advancing, I think, especially in our corporate office, which might be a little bit easier, but we have been advancing in things that we couldn't even imagine, I think, a couple of weeks ago. For example, I can do, and I know that the US workforce is really different, and you guys are more advanced than Mexico, for example, but I can work from home whenever I want, right? So that's not really common in a Latin culture, but that's an example of policies. Programs, so for example, we have the unconscious bias learning experience. I'm going to go a little bit more into detail into that, which are, for example, mentoring programs for women. So I'm going to show a couple of samples of those. Awareness, communication, really helping our people understand that this is important for the company. We have had our CEO even sending a couple of messages to the organization saying, like, diversity and inclusion, bringing more people and more perspectives to the table is really key for the company advance. And partnerships. Partnerships like the ones we're doing with tech companies. We are participating in a forum, for example, in Mexico, that's called Women Matters. So that's really interesting. It's from McKinsey. So we're learning a lot from what other companies are doing, like I'm doing right here, right now, right? So I'm gonna show you a video about Semaks University, which is the learning function in Semaks, and you'll see how this relates and how we are enabling the DNI strategy as part of the company.
At Semaks, continuous learning plays a key role in building a better future. Working as one company is boosted through personal development and learning. We are shaping the collective psyche of our community and fostering change by means of education. Our employee experience is enhanced through the empowerment of growing mindset, breaking limits, and surpassing paradigms. Semeks University, where global learning drives human growth. Commercial Academy. Health and Safety Academy. Supply Chain Academy. Culture and Values Academy. Digital Academy. Leadership development programs. Become a learner at www.semexuniversity.com. Welcome to Semaks University, where global learning drives human growth.
So this is an internal video that we aim to really bring people to the platform. And SemaksUniversity.com has been around, I think, maybe for a year and a half. So it's a work in progress. We have been building digital learning experiences in it, and you can go to SemaksUniversity.com and you will access, if you want, you can access it. So if you want to poke around a little bit and see trailers for learning experiences that we have, you can totally do it. Feel free. It's going to be closed later, communication faults, and but that's another discussion. It's going to be open maybe, and they wait like until notices. So even that these are executives, they are a little bit afraid of talking about that. So that's why we're bringing more women on board of that. We have teachers as leader models, and who we bring as faculty, and you saw it in the video. We're trying to, even though we don't have those many women that are executives, we're trying to bring more and more women, for example, or people that are from different nationalities to really be our leaders that people learn from. So HIPO, so the leadership development programs that we have, really on the participant selection, we always try to have a nice mixture between regions, between people that has had in our company experience in different regions, in different countries, so that they bring that different perspective to the learning experiences of our folks, right? Whenever we do assignments, we try to, the design of projects, whenever we do that, we try to think about that as a DNI perspective, right? Our global networks, besides being really established as regions, we have global networks that are groups of people. There are experts from all over the world that are really collaborating. For example, our Cement global network. It's people from Philippines and Mexico and Egypt and US and Europe, all of them collaborating for really improving the business. So the diversity of thought of markets really help us that, and we enhance some sessions that global networks have to share best practices. And leadership stories, this is something that we really like. So whenever we kick off, especially our leadership development programs, we always have leaders saying their stories, telling where have they been, what have they been doing with the company. And I think this is really inspiring because they share so much about themselves, about their experiences, and how being exposed to different realities has shaped their career. So unconscious bias learning experience, we saw this as a very first step. We are not saying that this is the solution for everything, but we saw like a very good opportunity to really make it happen. And what we built there, it's a digital learning experience, and we wanted to, I'm gonna show you a little bit on the case, right? So this is the why, and these are the key factors why we decided to do it. We just built this in January, and it's been going on for maybe 9 months, 10 months. Speed to market was critical. We really wanted to get to more people. As we launched policies and we deployed our whole DNI strategy, we said like, people need to realize that they have biases, and building this learning experience was one of the key things to do. So speed to market was critical. We pretty much built it in-house with some folks that we have locally, video producers, some startups that are design agencies that are really fast and they know us pretty good and they iterate quite fast. So that's what we mean by built in-house. We are Semaks University. The Semaks University global team is like 6 people, so sounds large, but we're small. Scale was the name of the game. We wanted to reach faster and to more people in more regions. And of course, opportunity to extend awareness. We wanted people to understand what this is. And we wanted to invite people to make the right questions, to really understand where they stand and what they do. And our goal, and it's aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN in 2030. So our goal by 2025 is to reach our 4,000 online managers with this learning experience. Of course, we're going to be bringing a little bit more of a set that's not just unconscious bias. We're thinking, and I might be getting ahead of myself, but we're thinking, this is a little bit of the design principles that we did for this learning experience. So pretty much, we leverage a leaders as teachers models. We have here our executive vice president of digital and organization. So it's pretty much HR, administration, and all the innovation. So he's pretty much an EVP of everything. We tend to have those type of roles in the organization. So here we have him talking about diversity at CEMEX, and CEMEX, it's a company that's very hierarchical, right? So seeing a leader talking and preaching about this and really being vulnerable about it, it's really important for executives and for our learners. We have, so for example, this Jimena, she's part of the workforce experience team, and she's moderating some of the discussion boards that we have in the learning experience. We really did a varied learning resources, so internal and curated. So the implicit bias test, if you have not done it, I strongly recommend it. It's a project by Harvard, and you can go into it and you can see which biases do you have to race, gender, even weight. So a lot of things. It's really cool and it's really important. So we thought that it might be a good resource to incorporate. And then we have some internal videos, and this one is my favorite, right? The opportunities to really apply learning in the daily work, to really make it different, really make it relevant for the learner. So for example, here we have, in order to really get to the next step, you had a submission, but you also needed to read a couple of submissions from your peers, right? So the peer review, it's really cool because you write yourself, and then you go and see maybe a couple of other ones, and you even have to comment and a little bit of giving feedback and sharing your opinion with them. And so, for example, here in our week of awareness, there are a series of opportunities that we have for people to practice, right? And we have as you can see, there are very succinct recommendations. So day 1, do this. Day 2, do this. So for example, day 2, task, create, find a counter-stereotype image, right? So in your workplace. Submit a journey entry about your day that you realize something. So we invited people to really bring it to their day-to-day life. And this is a teaser of our learning experience that's unconscious bias. Taking this approach of building little teasers for people to really launch it so that they see what they're in it for it. And then I'm gonna go now to the results. And I know that these results are pretty reactive. We're in the very first level of Kirkpatrick. We're trying to get better. But I think what's really cool for me, and this my favorite part of this slide, is the countries represented in the learning experience. We sometimes forget, and I'm going to talk about the approach that we had to launch this learning experience. We sometimes forget that we're diverse, right? I know maybe we know because we talk to regions all the time, but someone that's in CEMEX in Croatia might completely forget or might not even know that there's people like them working in Dominican Republic, for example. And the very cool thing with this learning experience, and I'm going to talk a little bit of how we did it, we're launching monthly cohorts that are global. So we reach our regions and we say, hey, the monthly cohort for unconscious bias is going to be launched. Please give your list of candidates, right? And we run the cohort for maybe 4 or 6 weeks, and then they have to bring more people. So what we're doing is we're designing the learning experience for them to be diverse in itself in participants. As you can see, and maybe you saw a little bit of the screenshots of the learning experience, there's a lot of people interacting all the time in the learning experience. So that's why we're launching global cohorts that are time-based. And this is a little bit on the results. We have about 1,000 learners first year with a completion rate of maybe 50%, which I think it's not that bad. We're trying to push and really invite our regions to really realize the potential that this opportunity has. And it's a very simple learning experience that maybe talks 2 hours, right? So this is a little bit on the results. Learners were very engaged with video. We know that we are all consuming video all the time, more and more. So we saw that the completion rates for each videos were 85, 90%, so they saw most of the video. Something really cool that we did here, instead, and when we launched it, Novoed was just releasing this very cool feature. Instead of submitting an opinion on a topic, writing, you could do it in a type of audio voice, right? So we know that Instagram has it, we know that Facebook has it, even WhatsApp has it. So we said, let's try it out, let's see how it works. And it was really interesting to hear people's voice. And it might be, I know that we saw some amazing VR learning experiences back there, but even voice can be, you could hear like the tone with they talk. So it was, I think that was a tool that we were a little bit skeptic, but found really cool, and learners really liked it. So we have, here are some interactions that we have. So for example, Laura, she's in the Spain office, Cynthia is in the Mexico office, and Alicia Castañeda, she's at the Puerto Rico office, right? So you can see pretty much people talking about, and people really going with powerful and honest and really thoughtful submissions when they engage with the learning experience. Some thoughts, so here we have some executives. Uwe, he's from Croatia, but he's based in the Houston office. Alberto, he's our CHRO, and Germán, he's also a compensation professional in CEMEX Mexico. So as you can see, they talk about how unconscious bias, it's something that they didn't even know they had. And we're talking about executives here, right? These two, Germán and Alberto, are HR professionals, and Uwe is a commercial professional, right? So we really like how we're fostering change in mindset regarding unconscious biases or diversity and inclusion through learning experiences. So to quickly recap, lessons learned, I think there's no single solution. As I told you, DNI has to be, in our perspective, embedded in all learning programs as possible. Quality does not have to be expensive or really take a lot of time to produce. This learning experience, I think we built it maybe in 8 weeks. It might be fast for ourselves, but I don't know, maybe your teams build things faster. Social learning really allows for the sharing of thought, for realizing that we're a diverse company. I think that's really important. And leaders are key, really leaders moderating discussions, really leaders being seen there. As an example, maybe 60% of our executive committee has gone through the experience, so that's a thing as well. We configured the global cohorts to be also all the time accompanied by a C-suite member. And I think my steps will be ensure DNI through your talent management strategy. I'm part of the learning team, but I know that the planning team is also doing stuff regarding these. The workforce experience team is also doing things regarding this. Involve the organization in social learning. It can be so powerful to really foster DNI at your company. And the final one, have your leaders really commit to the cause, right? So I'm right on time with 5 minutes for a Q&A. So I'm wondering if you guys have any kind of question that I might answer. Yes?
Hey, Brandon, what kind of incentive programs do you build into, you motivate people to get into the program? You wanted to do 4,000 managers by 2025. How do you get them to do it?
Incentive programs. That's a great question. So we're trying to build this branding approach. So you saw that we have teasers, we have a website. Right now, we're taking an approach that's mostly their leaders say, "Hey, you have to do this." I'm not really proud of that. But what I think also it's people are really seeing there, and they have exposure. So we have found, especially in our leadership development programs, that they find tremendous value in having leaders, for example, there. So and there's people that even say to us, like, I cannot believe that our CFO answered to my comment on the Novo platform, right? So that's an insight for us that the exposure is really important for our leaders in the company.
Yeah.
Yes?
Could you tell us again, share the use of voice?
The use of voice, yes.
Use of voice
Yeah.
In terms of giving comments
Mhm.
or how is that integrated into
Yeah.
the program?
So in that particular example, it was done a discussion board
Yeah.
as saying, share an example of where you had this bias, and it was for you to write it, right? So what they do is that they can record with their phone and they can upload it directly in Novo, right? So the use of voice, what we're doing is telling them exactly this thing. It's telling a story where you had this bias, right?
And how did you felt did that increase engagement? Because I'm selfishly thinking about our course,
Mhm.
where there's a lot of opportunity to do threaded discussions, and I'm intrigued by the use of voice
Yes.
because it is much more personal.
Makes it really it makes it really compelling, you know. I don't know if that increases engagement for sure. We had a hypothesis, like, because we had the two options.
Yeah.
You can either do the writing
Yeah.
or do the voice,
And
right?
what percentage is voice?
Quite seamlessly. Yes, you're welcome. Yes.
Yeah, so as part of your DNI what are you doing to localize, especially the leadership videos, right, that you use to kind of provide that leadership support and executive support? How are you localizing those type of video activities such that based on your global strategy or the global breadth of having people in different countries or continents of the world, they still have to get the same message, potentially from the same leader? How are you localizing that to meet them at where they are?
Is your question like, how do we know which leader to leverage for which message?
Well, and again, I don't know how you're distributing that, but let's say, for example, your CEO or maybe one of your key C-level executive, create a 2-3 minutes video
Yes.
as part of your initiative,
Okay.
and you're going to deploy that to multiple countries, people in different countries, obviously, speaking different languages.
Oh, okay, I get it.
How do you do that in such a way that it's not overly expensive for you to have
Yes.
to translate every?
No, that's a great example. And to answer your question, this learning experience, right, as of today, is only available in English. When we translate it, and I think that we're going to start Q4 to translate it to Spanish, we're going to reach maybe 75% of our audience. And also, I think it's a message that we're giving because we're inviting managers, right? And a lot of regions say, like, but my managers in, for example, Israel, they don't speak English. So we're saying, like, okay, so we as a company, given that we're a global company and English is our official language, you have to keep up the level, right? So to answer your question, we're going into translations, and very technically, we can add subtitles to the videos very easily. But when we go English and Spanish, we cover most, like 70% of our audience. And yeah, whenever we have those many countries, I think we have like 15 languages. But given that we're aimed at managers as of today, we do not translate every single thing we do. Yes?
Sounds like you've built some amazing content.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, except for the comment section of the feedback where there's employee information there, can you walk me through the decision to decide to close it to the public? Like, in other words, right now, anyone can kind of go and check it out. I think you said at the beginning of the talk. And then, but you said, eventually we're gonna make this open for employees.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, I'm just curious, did anyone ever think about, well, let's keep this as a resource?
I think the latest estimate, I had estimated there would be more corporate universities than institutions of higher education. And here in the United States, there are about 4,300 institutions of higher education. And when you add up globally, all the corporate universities, there are more around the world. So the movement is driven to align education investment to the strategic needs of the organization and to run it as a business.
Oh, okay.
Not
And
necessarily a
how
profit
many
business.
genuine universities are there other than beyond the majority of those that just slap the word university next to their company
Yeah,
name?
well, the reason is to manage it centrally as an organization. It does not mean that in most cases, if not all, these corporate universities are issuing degrees.
That wasn't my question.
Yeah.
That wasn't my question. My question was about brand risk.
About what? The language?
The brand risk. Brand risk.
Brand risk.
If done poorly, and look, I think your program is fantastic. It's fantastic that you're doing it. But we know that creating content, creating a learning experience is damn hard, and it's very easy to do it poorly. If you do it poorly, and that's all your corporate university does, your company looks bad. Do you guys think about that?
I think if you, I'm happy to take it off-site, in the parking lot, as they say. But I think if you look at what these organizations are doing, they are actually the exact opposite. They are brand building to the organization. They are used as a way to attract the very best talent. And if you look at a lot of the work in the professional, a lot of the big surveys with PwC and Deloitte, high-performing talent is looking for organized ways for career development. So if it's a new concept for you, terrific. We're happy to walk you through what literally thousands of organizations have been doing over the last 20 years.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.